Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly community weekly of the week for this week. I am Mr. Entity. In the booth with me today, we have Ravlin Bay. Say hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
That's correct. That is how you address me. We also have in the background today Ceiling Cat doing the tracking as per sometimes. And our racers for tonight are Jackamus, Brianna Fofana, Zelf85, and It's Naku. We got some special flags today, courtesy of one of our runners, Brianna Fofana, themed after Ladies' Night. Why don't you run the people through what's going on today whilst I get our runners going, Rev?
Let's see if I am to believe what's going on. It is a 4-12-4 to just enter Kefka's Tower. So that does mean that we only have to find one more character, and we do start off with plenty of checks to be able to do so, but we do need to find 12 espers. So I'm going to lay down some pretty easy money that we're not going to only find 4 characters here. And defeat 4 dragons. On the other hand, if you want to skip the beginning of Kefka's Tower, you can get 7 characters, 14 espers, but you'll only need 2 dragons to do so. We are starting off with the 3 ladies of Final Fantasy VI. In my opinion, the best and most powerful characters in the game, so I am always thrilled to start off with them. They are some of the most powerful magic users, and magic in this game is strong.
Sure is. The only way I've ever found to make this game actually difficult in vanilla is to never use magic and never use any abilities and also equip your characters badly.
So intentionally do it wrong.
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see.
Randomizer, little easier.
I'm seeing what is progression level times 4?
That is correct.
Or sorry, progression is times 4. That is rather extreme scaling. But what that does mean is that they are going to end up with very high XP enemies fairly quickly. I actually
believe you have not read the next 2 flags yet.
Maybe not.
Little trickier than that.
Yep. One of the downsides sometimes to setting your progression to a higher scaling is that the enemies are going to just give you lots and lots of XP, so that once you start and actually break through, you can get overpowered very, very quickly. But we have toned that down a little bit. Let's see. Our characters are starting.
Lore.
Yeah, dance, lore, and blitz, I believe it was.
Yeah. Quasar's in there for lores. We're seeing 5 dances.
Snare.
That one's beautiful.
I mean, if you are facing enemies that are weak to instant death, it could be useful.
Yeah, if you're doing some grind, which you might want to do. We are seeing the kind of standard opening from Jack here of just go straight to the sealed gate. I saw Flame Shield, a ribbon in there, Genji helmet if anybody cares about that. The others all going for Narsh.
See, I think I would actually follow Jack here and go down that because, I tend to prefer to do Narsh if I have another reason to be there. If I have a Mog or I'm going to go check that Kefka Narsh check. That was a Minerva for sale.
Always nice to see. Good place to spend your monies. Jack not equipping the Moogle Charm at the start, as is his kind of default move. I did see Big Guard there in the lore list as well. Not nearly as good in this game as it is in FF5. Still useful.
Yeah, I agree with this move from Jack. I find when we're starting at level 3, I do almost whatever I can to just not be level 3.
Yep, you take 1 or 2 fights, just get some levels, and, even if it's just level times 4 progression, and the HP, MP, etc. is all normal, that still affects how much damage enemies do. So, there's definitely going to be one, especially if you're starting with a free check like this, where you're not going to get that boss experience right away. Maybe try to get a couple fights in real quick. Magus Rod's also for sale.
Oh, these shops are very, very generous.
Yep, shops and chests are both plus 50% random stuff, so tendency to be better than usual for sure.
Why is it that whenever I do that, I get random extra tonics?
I mean, do you drink a lot of gin?
No, I hate gin.
Well, then I think it's just the world laughing at you.
That seems typical. Zelfer is now checking out the returner's hideout, getting an elixir, and nothing else really notable there.
Naku, interestingly, in Miranda, although if I'm recalling correctly, this is a standard move for Naku, unlike every single other person in the randomizer community.
You know, it is one of those, if you are able to find something in that chest or in one of those shops that is just, really, really good, it can set you apart, but it's also one of those, sometimes you just end up wasting time.
It is fairly out of the way from everything else you're going to do, but as you said, pretty much no one's going to check it, so if there is something good there, you've gained yourself an advantage.
Yep.
You find
Jack finding the first Kappa.
Orange Imp. Orange Imp says Maduin. So our first Esper of the game. It has on it Ice 2 and some junk.
It's fine. Naku did find Valiant Knives in Albrook there. Could be a potential strategy here. Valiant Knives, one of the best weapons in the game.
Yeah, beads for sale they are also. One of the more recent additions to the holy crap, this relic is awesome pool at the top there. Since for quite a while, people didn't know that essentially there's an extra hidden feature to them, which is it halves enemies' chances to hit you to begin with, and then gives you 20% physical evade on top of it. So, very nice relic.
Oh, I might have to start using them then.
Ah, you weren't around for that discussion. Yes, they are very good. Jack now in South Figaro, presumably going for the Celeste check, which Zelfer is about to show us what is. Naku, meanwhile, fighting some chickens.
Chicken lips always concern me because they can cast Quake.
Yeah, they're not nice. Is this the enemy formation that if you leave one of them alive, they suddenly become much more dangerous?
That is certainly possible, or it might just be if it's enough turns.
Jack just sold 3 ribbons.
Yeah, I probably do overvalue ribbons myself. I think it's just quite useful, especially for the final battle, if you expect to get trained a couple of times, just to have someone who's not going to get trained a couple of times.
Oh yeah, they can definitely be useful, as you said, especially in the final battle, but I know Jack, and he's going to say, but that doesn't raise my offense.
Yes, Jack is a little bit more, I'm not going to say reckless, but aggressive than I am.
Yeah, he does just throw himself at every check. Rare to see him go to a town unless the check takes him there. Depending on flags, he's not an idiot. Well, I'll leave that up to other people to decide. Brianna checking the faraway chest that was not really worth the time. Circlet's an okay helmet, but okay helmet is code for
Okay helmet is code for it's not a cat hood.
Pretty much, yeah. There are very few hats in this game that are at all kind of worth buying, let's say. If you find one in a box, you'll use it, but not going to buy most things. Genji glove for Jack in that Celeste check. Gem box for sale in that relic shop for Zelfer. And that Tizen thing was 57k, so we're not seeing what that is. No free progression is on, so we know it is just an item. No free progression, for those not familiar, takes a lot of the easier checks, / shorter checks, and ensures that they just give you an item reward instead of a character or an Esper.
Which, on the one hand, means that you do know that there is some good equipment out there in the pool for you to find. So perhaps if you're stuck, you can, hope that you find a shield you can break your way through something, or, maybe a Ragnarok, which will solve most checks for you.
Yep. Normally, of course, we would probably say or an Illumina, but there are no Illuminas today, or Experience Eggs, two of the most game-winning items that exist.
I have found, as I play more, I tend to prefer to play without Illuminas and XP eggs because they can be so centralizing as a strategy. It just becomes less fun.
Yep, for sure. That's also why we tend to play with Ultima. There's certain things, if you find, you are going to use them. And those three are kind of the go-tos. Also Paladin Shields.
Yeah, no free... Now, if you go through the work to uncurse a Paladin Shield, assuming it's not like a one battle uncursing, like, I tend to be more okay with that one.
Yep.
Because, you have to work for it. But if you just find it in a chest, like, come on.
Exactly. As you said, they kind of force everything into one strategy, but another thing they do is, doesn't seem... there's Red Cap and Flame Rod in the Colosseum. The other thing they do is if one person does a weird check or something and happens to get that, it skews the game pretty heavily in their favor. If others don't. So some rando battles here for people. Taking a look at the flags, we know why that is with that progression of ×4 for levels. Jack going for a red cap here, fighting a Whisper. Pretty solidly easy enemy. Although not that strong on the fire, but another one of those will take him out. And if you try to put it to sleep, because Colosseum Terra is stupid.
Colosseum, everyone is not the brightest, and it looks like they're casting Sleep again.
Well, the first time didn't work. What else are they gonna do? Luckily, Whisper already out of MIPS. Brianna has found some very nice enemies to fight with these Revivifies, insta-killing that entire squad. Yeah. Terra and Celeste both have natural magic in this set of flags, so probably not the greatest starting party, especially if you've already given Realm a Magicite to actually throw into the Colosseum, but what are you gonna do? There wasn't a Numero start.
Very true. He is spending a little time here in the Colosseum. I wasn't too impressed with anything that I saw, but, he's making a different choice, and I would be really concerned about that Ogre hitting him again, because that didn't look good.
Yeah. I did see him go for the red cap the first time, so I guess he wanted that. I'm not sure what that fight was for, and it went by too fast for me to notice it. Might have been the Flame Rod. Didn't see anything else there particularly worth having. Houdat, thank you. It was a Gratus. Not sure why he went for a Gratus, aside from it is worth a lot of money. An Atma weapon sitting in the inventory there, a much more useful item these days than in the recent past.
Yes, I have actually found that improved Atma weapon to be awesome. It does silly amounts of damage.
Yep, also viable with the offering, and viable with, especially if you get some kind of HP raising thing. If I'm remembering correctly. Does the Atma weapon just scale on level, or is it max HP?
So it is not max HP, it is percentage of the current HP that you have.
Okay, yeah, so I know it decremented like that. I just wasn't sure if it also raised the base. So it's scaled on level, and there is a divided by 32 in the calculations, whereas it used to be a divided by 64. So now it's viable kind of in the 20s, whereas before you sort of had to get to level 40-something to have it even be decent.
To have it even be usable, not even decent, just usable.
Yep, Dragonhorn for sale wherever Zelfer is. Probably gonna see a purchase of something here because he's looking at what he can sell. Also earrings. Guess he just wanted the earrings. No lances have been shown off yet, so Maybe just keeping that in the back of his head for when he finds the other parts required. Snow Muffler also in that town. Where is he? Ah, he's in World of Ruin, Tizen. So
Now,
nice
if you
shops.
have
And there's the Aura Lance.
if you have the Dragon Boots and Dragon Horn, if you have the choice between an Aura Lance and Fixed Dice, which one are you going to go for?
I don't know. I would. It's a difficult question to answer. I don't like fixed dice. I would rather get the standard reliable damage of the Aura Lance, but I think Dragonhorn Dragoon Boots, if you're at a decent enough level, you're gonna get more damage on the whole out of the fixed dice.
Secretly, I think one of the best weapons for Dragoon strategy is not a spear. It is actually a set of dice, because that makes perfect sense within the lore of the world that we're living in.
Of course. Everything is based on dice. Especially if your sets. But yeah, for those not aware, it's kind of we see a lot of offering fixed dice use in these runs, especially in the past. We see it a bit less now as people have gotten a bit more experienced, and some people are now of the opinion that it's not worth the time investment, and it's too random, too slow. But if you put the fixed dice on a Dragoon Horn person, you get sort of a randomized offering effect, but you also get it times 1.5 damage, which helps mitigate the randomness, and you don't have to watch the very slow animation. And those are the two things that make the fixed dice less than glorious for a lot of people.
Right, but the fixed dice do ignore defense, which does make it real nice for a lot of bosses, so.
For sure. Lots of nice things in chests today. We've seen a few elemental shields, the Atma weapon, some less nice things. But 3 ribbons that Jack sold. Just for money. Should tell you the quality of stuff we're getting.
Absolutely. I'm sort of wondering who's going to be our first one to really tackle a boss and sort of, get themselves together and, start hitting these checks pretty hard. We've gotten a free Esper, we've gotten, done a couple of the free checks that aren't going to give us the progression that we need, but what's going to be our first boss? Who are we going to
I will be very surprised if Jack does not go for the Elite River here, so that might be the first boss we come across. Jack, famously one of the only people in the randomizer who will go out of their way to do this check. But he does like those fixed encounter starts if he can get them. And I will say, Elite River a lot less punishing than Burning House.
I like it. It is fewer battles than Burning House. It is, you've got a couple of save points so you can heal yourself up along the way.
Yep.
And I know if I don't have to take a battle, I'm not going to. So if I do one of these checks that forces me to take battles, hey, look, I actually have XP and I'm not level 3 trying to throw myself at the enemy with my face.
Exactly. And in this particular one, if you find some very, very nice encounters that give you a lot of money or gold or whatever, you can just go around in a circle. Do another circle, get another couple fights, even better. Or as Jack does here, go straight at the start instead of left to give a little extra time to get those random encounters here. Because, as this game teaches you, left is always right, and you always want to go right, so you go left.
I think you just broke my brain with that sentence.
Well, then I have succeeded at my task here today, and I can now go home.
All right, now that I'm going to be here on my own,
no,
let's
I'm
get
at home now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a fast trip.
Gotcha. Let's see, Zelfer taking one of the other favorite grinding spots for a lot of people is right outside of the World of Ruin Narshe beginner's house, because you're right there with the bucket to heal yourself up between battles. And Slam Dancers here are pretty reasonable enemies to fight. They can cast level 2 magic on their own, so it's a little bit, little sketchy there.
Yep. Well, sketch is prohibited today, so not so much. It's a little dancey, though. And that double snare dance is going to come very handy for just grinding out a couple fights.
Though Zelfer's still only level 5. He didn't take a wipe here, did he? Because I think he's been fighting these fights for a couple of minutes.
Well, those rabbits aren't worth that much, and the experience is only scaled to party highest or party average. So, you know, it will go up, but it's going to go up slowly. Jack finding Black Durgans on the Leet River. One of the nicer undead fights in terms of insta-killing and getting a fair chunk of experience. So he's kind of lucked out on these fights here, and none of them are particularly deadly or particularly long. Brianna going for the chest that almost no one ever gets. It's got a gold shield in it. Not super worth the time, but you don't know until you get it.
You would think that a shield that was made entirely of gold would be worth more than it actually is, but I also don't think a shield that's made entirely of gold would be worthwhile because gold is so soft.
Yeah, but it's shiny.
Oh, so we're not so much going for defense, but distraction with a gold shield.
Yeah, you just angle it so the sun is in people's eyes.
So it would be particularly effective against a Medusa?
I would imagine so, yes.
See, everyone should have expected when it was the two of us doing commentary that we would go off the rails this quickly.
We haven't done the Phantom Train yet.
Well, depending on where the Phantom Train is, it might not even be on rails.
Yeah, so, I mean, difficult to expect us to be on them. We did see Dragoon Boots a minute ago on wherever Naku is shopping, so we do have kind of the full setup for a Lancer available. Always nice. Dried meat for sale there also.
Find that dried meat. That's I always buy a couple just because you never know when you're going to find Gao, and you know, if I have one, I have had a tendency to accidentally, you know, use it on one of my characters or use it to heal instead of use it for the check. So always buy more than one.
What kind of an idiot would do that? Cough. Probably everyone. Cough, cough, cough. Jack also finding some neck hunters, which I am fairly certain are the Mount Zozo enemies and therefore worth a lot of money. Going for the plasma dance, though, not the snare dance. We're seeing some actual use of dance today. Not super common, but it's ladies' night out, so all the dances in the world are there.
And, you know, there seem to be some pretty good rolls on the dances in terms of, you know, usefulness, so...
Yep. Nothing egregiously good in terms of boss fighting, but definitely some useful stuff for taking out the randos. And if you would like to take out this rando, come visit us on our Discord, or get a seed going yourself. We promise it's a cheap date.
It is probably the most fun you can have with your pants on, at least legally.
I usually play with my pants off.
That is, strictly speaking, more information than I needed to know, but I do want to thank Heideka for subscribing with Prime Gaming. Just as a reminder, all of the subscriptions and stuff to this particular channel gets gathered, and every time we get a Twitch payout, it goes to basically the next event that one of the community members is participating in that's raising money for charity. In fact, the next event is going to be at 6:30 a.m. Sunday morning, so in a little less than 12 hours, where I will be running an entrance randomizer seed for benefiting the Trans Legal Defense and Education Fund. So come join me then.
Yeah, everyone go give monies. Or give monies now and later we'll give the monies. Either way, Jack's killed a Strontium Behemoth. And we've seen our first Quasar. So Jack gets him a Behemoth suit, and that honestly just looks like Bannon. But it is Stetzer. With a sword text. So nice abilities all around today. apparently one of the dances did have landslide on it, which is kind of your best bet for dance damage.
And, you know, I definitely feel like in terms of theming for a girls' night out, Setzer is kind of the most likely, other than maybe Edgar, to actually participate in the girls' night out with them.
You don't want Edgar on the girls' night out.
I don't want him, but he would just insert himself in there. I don't think that was intentional, but I did enjoy it. You're welcome. I aim to please.
We are seeing a Chatternook now for the Esper Mountain check. I believe over on Brianna's side of the screen. Not normally the hardest boss in the world, but it can be annoying.
It's a little rough there if you've got Celis equipped with a stunner and it's not love token or charm happens and she stops your Terra. That's unfortunate.
That's not good. Zelfer has gained himself a Madeline. And Jack just poking around Nash, probably gonna see him do a Welk check here in a moment. What do I know?
I don't know.
Well, you did start a sentence with it, so I guess I know why you stopped.
And lost it, so.
Well, now neither of us knows.
That makes the rash assumption that either of us knew to begin with.
Well, let's hope we know in the future, so that we can figure out whether or not we knew it now.
Very curious to see what the result of this Chatternook fight is going to be. You know, we also just sort of...
Ooh, it's going to be dead people. Dead people is the result.
Death by painting. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it wasn't even in a fight with Van Gogh. Or Gauguin. I think Gauguin is the guy that stabbed someone.
I will take your word for it.
I think Gauguin also got in a fight with Van Gogh, and Van Gogh afterwards cut part of his ear off. Painting
I know very
is
little
fun.
about art. Right, Jack is selling the house to get one of those Minervas. He was very excited to see it, and understandably so. Looks like Celis is stepping up into the front row, possibly going to be doing some just physical attacking with her there.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got certain weapons, there's a Sabin behind you, Marrow check. If you've got certain weapons, then that's all you need to do, and that is Jack's favorite strategy in this game, because it's fast.
What, whole day and pray?
I don't think he even prays. He probably uses his other hand to drink.
Coming up on a Goddess. Goddess is just a rough battle. I think the only saving grace really of Goddess is the fact that she has the lowest HP of the 3 statue bosses.
Yeah, and he does have some shieldums to break, and a man-eater to throw on Celeste. I think Goddess counts as a quote-unquote man.
Human.
Yes. Because this game was made in the 90s.
No, it appears that this Goddess fight is actually going relatively smoothly. Gonna break those 2 shields with Realm. I'd be very surprised if the second shield isn't the end of the fight.
Yeah, if you got shields to break and Goddess isn't particularly nasty, then she's not often that hard to kill.
Oh. Well, I was incorrect.
Unfortunately, small children also not that hard to kill.
Look, whose idea was it to bring a 12-year-old girl along for the ride to, fight a goddess?
Edgar? think it was Edgar.
You're not wrong. I still don't think it was a great idea. Now, the fact of the matter is that she might be, one of the most powerful mages in all of existence, but she's still 12.
I think she's actually only 10. Either way, teeny tiny.
Whenever you're guessing someone's age, if it's a kid, you guess older than you think they are, and if it's an adult, you guess younger than you think they are.
Ooh, Fire 3 Merton.
Oh.
Minerva's for sale. 3 women in the party.
Now, I believe with the equipment, because it wasn't original plus...
Right. It was shuffled.
It was shuffled, so I do not believe that Terra can equip the Minerva, if I remember correctly from what I was seeing on people's screens.
And Jack already broke 2 of the shields that would also qualify for Minerva Go Burr time.
You mean Merton Go Burr time?
Same thing.
Yeah, basically. I mean, maybe it's Jack and Zelfer is involved, so maybe they're just going to find, 3 more flame shields, and it's just going to, all be flame shields, and, Merton will be your best healing spell.
Yes, I imagine we'll see Zelfer go to the auction house and find flame shields for sale for $10,000. There's Ragnarok's for sale, so lots of ways to get through this seed. We got Minerva on the table. We've got an Atma weapon to do a lot of damage late game. We've got level 3 spells. We've got... I almost said Minerva again. The spell that sounds like Minerva.
Merton.
Yeah, that one, Minerva. We've also got a full Dragoon setup available. So as long as people are managing there's an offering for sale. So as long as people are managing their money and their levels decently, this should not be that difficult of a seed.
No, at this point it's going to be a matter of finding what you need.
Yep. Another Strontium Behemoth fight here on the river for Zelfer. Jack, meanwhile, looks like he's taken a fight, whether deliberately or not, hard to tell.
He was walking around outside. I think it was intentional. He might be trying to get that Fire 3 and Merton spells learned.
Possibly. We did just see a simultaneous frame-perfect Fire 2 on 2 screens. That was cool.
It truly is the little things in life that keep us entertained, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, these pixels are only like an amount of freedom units. Sprites are small. Another goddess fight.
Yep, Naku's going for the goddess fight. Has Fire and Quasar. I would probably be going for Fire 2 over Quasar just because it's faster.
Yep. It looks like getting some big guard pulled out. Not a terrible idea. Goddess does favor the magics. Although I'm not sure what in the game is / isn't shellable. Because there's a lot of little weird spells that you never cast yourself, so you probably wouldn't know unless you've gone through the programming for the game.
Which several of the community members within our community have done that, and that's how we find out things like, hey, beads are way better than you think they are.
Yeah, they're real good. Like, if you start a seed where you have some money, but also enemies are a very high level, go spend that money on beads. Good way to get through a fight without getting hit to death. Gem box reward for the Kalinjin check. That is part of the free progression, which is no today.
I would probably expect our runners to take that gem box and likely sell it to get some of the other things that are available. Gem boxes are pretty cool, but I would probably want to, instead buy a Ragnarok or a full Dragoon setup.
Yeah, I personally, even in a seed where there might not be amazing things for sale, tend to sell them. I find them pretty situational. If I don't have quick and an economizer, I'd rather just take the extra turn and throw some earrings on. Or if you're in a very awful fight and you need to heal a lot real fast.
So Jack found the blue bubble.
So he did. I'm not sure where he got that, but now the siege is over. Everyone can go home, especially me.
It must have been on an Esper because he doesn't have a paladin shield.
No, but I did not see it anywhere, so... I mean, it's really easy to miss things when people bring up the spell screen for about half a second. But, yep, Jack has a distinct advantage at this point. Obviously, Ultima is not cheap, so there's not going to be a lot of casts going on per fight at this particular point, but the further we get in the seed, the more we're going to see of it.
I will say a downside to Ultima is that it is a very slow spell to cast.
For sure.
It has a long animation, so there will definitely be times where it will be quicker to do a different spell.
Yeah, but at least it isn't Flare. And Franklin is telling us that Celeste has Ultima because of natural magic.
Which, on the one hand, is, a little sad that, we're going to be seeing lots and lots of blue bubbles. On the other hand, it means all of our runners are going to have access to it as soon as they get their Celis up to that level. So it does make for a relatively level playing field, and that I am thankful for.
Yep, just expect to hear a lot of...
I mean, Ultima go burr.
No, it goes...
Sure.
I literally just told you that.
So we've got number 24 here. The big danger there is from the confusion.
Oh, that was an interesting sidestep from Setzer.
I will say one nice thing about number 24 is that he's not Magi Master, which I originally thought it was when I saw it. So,
no, it's little bro. Also interesting as a boss in that if you have almost any gray magic you can cast on him, it will work, aside from, I think, Silence, which is kind of the one you'd most want to work, but you can just turn him into an imp, which is how I used to get through the vanilla fight of him.
Yep. I will say any enemy that can confuse you is very, very dangerous. Most recently, I had an enemy confuse me as I had a Super Ball queued up, and that wiped my entire party.
Yeah, any confusion is bad. Also, if you stick around for quite a while, number 24 can start casting very high-tier stuff just naturally.
I mean, that's just one of those, the developers are like, this battle is going to end one way or another.
Yeah, try again now. You're taking too long. And Jack does a success while Zelfer shows up to fight him also.
One thing I am a little surprised about thus far is that we've only found one extra character in Setzer. We had a plethora of checks available to us. I'm wondering if Setzer's the only character available for progression based on our starting checks.
Well, there are a few no free progression stopping points in there, and we've also seen people doing a lot of just leveling. So, slower start today than usual. We haven't seen Owzer's Mansion yet. We haven't seen the Magitech facility. What else we haven't seen? Mobliz. Something else, Terra, Zozo. There's a fair few checks remaining that aren't Setzers.
Fair. Yeah, Zozo is a rather long climb. I suppose that's why no one's gone for it yet.
They all started with warp stones, so they at least don't have to walk down. Possibly the worst check to have to walk back out of.
That is one of my favorite quality of life changes with the newest update, is being able to start with a few Phoenix Downs, a few Warp Stones, and a couple of random tools.
Yep. Quite
just
handy.
A little seed thing, especially if you end up starting with Gao with tools, having a tool that he can actually use and possibly do damage with, very useful. More than once I have started with Gaos that could do nothing.
Yep, the only incompletable seed of this game I have ever played was a single Gao start, and he had no offense. And all of the actual progression was locked behind bosses. And there were no rods for sale. That was fun to find out.
Yep, other than that, I'm pretty sure that every single seed is completable. I'm not going to say relatively easily. You will definitely struggle with some of them, but it is possible.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one that is logically incompletable. Just that occasional Gao is the worst. But now I just give him fight all the time.
That is a reasonable way of handling that. On the other hand, I do sometimes like the fact that he can just have two abilities. And if you just put on random instead of random unique, my favorite Gao of all time is Double Slots Gao.
Good old Double Slots Gao. The community favorite. And we are seeing Jack fight an Umaro. Franklin also pointing out in the chat that yes, there are ways to make something incompletable with flags aside from just messing with Gao. If something costs money and there's no money available, then you can have things locked behind that money. But you have to go kind of far out of your way to make it that odd. First Magitech check coming up.
Yeah, at that point, I feel like you've done that one to yourself.
Exactly. And we are seeing Ultimas out of Zelfer, so that is at least two of our runners in Ultima territory.
And Naku just saw it in the menu, so...
So three, Hiding in the Hide Knights on their comeback tour.
Really, I think they just need to pair up with Vargas and the Ipoos and just do a double-headed tour, and... they'll just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, but they only ever do that concert in the sky, and it's really hard to get there.
Fair. Ticket prices are getting a little crazy right now.
That is a dead hiding, because bosses today are actually undead. Which is not common these days. Another escort for Jack.
Yep, there are several things that we have sort of become standard in terms of just making it a little bit more challenging and frankly a little bit more fun. I think it's more fun to actually fight all of the boss battles instead of just using a Phoenix Down on a few of them.
I think all bosses should be Phoenix Downable.
So that was the Halloween seed. We've done that.
Yeah, we have. Jack now looking in the sky, possibly for Vargas and the Ipoos, but it is an Ultros. Just swimming through the clouds. It's very, very undense Ultros.
Well, Ultros, I'm sure, has some sort of magical ability. He's just decided to use it on floating this time instead of actually using it as an attack, which, that would probably be a more useful use of his magical abilities.
He's always floating in that fight.
Oh, there is another Esper. Jack is starting to really leave a smoking trail behind him as he makes his way through. I don't think he searched the skies for that. I think he just found it naturally.
It was a searchy.
Oh, it was? I missed that. I mean, there are 4 screens to watch, so I'm going to miss stuff.
It's super easy to miss things when you're looking at 4 screens at once. I frankly don't know how the trackers do it. Everyone go follow Ceiling Cat.
We did find an Alexander with magic power +2, but the spells on it suck.
Now Ultros got knocked out of the skies and is swimming in the pavements.
This is another one of those random bosses, isn't it?
I guess so.
So most of the time we do shuffle bosses where it, treats the bosses as a deck of cards, shuffles them up, and redeals them out. With random bosses, you can hit the same boss 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah.
And then there will be bosses you will never ever see.
Yep. Sometimes the game deals you a Royal Ace House, and sometimes it deals you with 2. Those are poker terms.
Which does technically mean Funbaba 3 is in the pool to be randomized. That does mean that theoretically, all 3 statues of Kefka's Tower could be Funbaba 3.
Oh, I'm hoping for 5 Funbaba 3s in Gate 8.
And that's because we're terrible human beings.
And that's why we're the best at rolling seeds for people. Jack,
Naku has found an Atma in Magitech Factory, but with an Ultima, it should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, Ultima make thing go away.
And Jack is showing us the end of Jador Mansion here. Owser's Mansion, that was the word I was actually looking for. Whew, it's a bit of a struggle for me. I haven't finished my caffeine yet.
I often call it Daryl's Mansion, so you're a step better than I am often.
And that is that a yellow shadow or is that a Sabin?
Or a gal? I think Sabin is behind the Umero check.
Right, Sabin is there.
Atma be dead. Number 24 be dead. Ladies be dancing up top.
Very, very nicely done. One good thing about Atma is that 15,000 XP for Naku.
Yep. Always going to help if you can find a difficult boss that you can deal with easily. We do have required dragons today, though, so going to be pretty simple for people to get experience if they want it, aside from the fact that the dragons are unscaled. As is, interestingly, Kefka. Which is...
Typically, Kefka is unscaled, and I prefer that.
I just said that backwards, didn't I? Never mind. Because I was about to say that's a flag we don't often see.
Yep.
But it is, in fact, the flag we see constantly. Naku taking a little break there to dance. And receives Raiden. An Esper that has life 2 on it. So that's nice. Also Pearl, if that was a particularly useful spell.
I mean, it is a relatively powerful spell. The problem is that it's Pearl Element, which so many late game bosses are just immune to or absorb.
Atma and Goddess. They like it. Jack has one of the Stooges dead, and looks like Zolfer's about to beat the game because he has found a Kefka.
All you have to do here is make sure that you defeat this Kefka before he escapes. End credits will roll. But unfortunately, even with a quad 9's Ultima, the escape still happens. Looks like he'll still have to find him in his tower. We'll also note that the Unicorn Esper here does have Cure 3 on it. I believe that was the one from Searching the Skies, which does mean that not only do we have the offense, we have the healing. That is something I have found with a lot of seeds that I've played recently is a severe lack of healing.
Yeah, sometimes you just run into seeds where, you get to the end and you're still relying on potions.
And prayer at that point.
Mm-hmm. Except it's not Final Fantasy IV. Mega Elixirs for sale.
If I have the money for a Mega Elixir, I typically will buy one just on the off chance that I don't find a Magimaster, and it's good for that fallen one in Final Kefka. On the other hand, with this particular seed, there is a good chance we won't even see fallen one because we might do enough damage.
I just saw Naku Sell a Genji glove, trying very, very hard to buy what appears to be an economizer. Meanwhile, Zelfer has run into Hudat's favorite snail of all, the Welk.
Yes. We've got Ultima in the seed. Of course we're going to want the economizer. Ultima is very, very expensive.
Yeah, I think it costs 99 naturally, and then it's distorted somewhat. And then it does a lot of damage, and it's a dead snail. Hudat's best friend is now dead.
It is now escargot.
Escargon.
Jack is completing this check. I'm actually a little surprised. Oh, no, you know what? Now that I think about it, it makes sense. He's picking up a lock. He might be then planning on doing the Phoenix Cave for that dragon.
Also, the Cursed Shield today is better than usual. Well, easier than usual. It's usually 1 to 32. Today it's like 6 to 14 or something, so very doable numbers. Although, at this point in the seed, it's going to have to be pretty low, because people have already done their fixed encounter checks and their leveling grinding.
If Jack goes and picks it up immediately, he still knows that he has to fight at least 4 dragons, and then there will be certainly more than 2 other battles beyond that. So, if it is, I think 6 would be very reasonable. I think anything under 10 would be a reasonable expectation that I will do that many fights before Final Kefka.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly go for it, and it's not like having one character out of the mix for a few fights is going to do a lot of harm to you in a seed where you have Ultima.
Yeah, just don't put it on Celis.
Just don't put it on Celis. Or in your mouth.
Why? Why would you do that?
I don't know. But a lot of people did, because there used to be TV adverts in Canada with a song that went, "Don't you put it in your mouth," and it played like constantly. So I assume people just put everything in their mouths.
What is so wrong with Canada that it would encourage them to make such an ad, or feel that they need to?
Well, you were supposed to wait till you asked someone you love. So it might look good to eat, like a muffin or a beet. I see Grimwolf in the chat understands.
I somehow have more questions the more you explain.
They were also puppets? Does that help?
To bring it back a little bit, Heideka is asking, are item tiers posted on Discord? I believe we have some sort of resource for that, probably within our...
I think they're in the wiki somewhere. If Franklin's still hanging around, I'm sure he could direct you there pretty quickly. He's all over that wiki.
So either in the wiki or in our guides repository, which is basically copied over into...
Yep. The wiki is available. Boop, 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 WC. On the FF6WC site, there's a link to it at the top, next to the link to the Discord. And then if you poke around in there, I'm sure you'll find it.
Let's see. There we go.
Or Ravlin can actually find it for you, like a helpful person.
Kilbasiago found it, but Nightbot got a little aggressive there.
Oh, Nightbot. I mean, Jack. Jack now on to the tunnel armor check. Locke's second fastest check, but one that actually gives you progression in the no free progression thing. And Chatternook fight and 2 dead bosses on the bottom. Number 128 for Jack, 3 dead bosses. Everybody but Jack has killed a boss. Jack's taking so long, but that Fire 3 will probably take care of it, combined with an Ultimo or 2.
Yeah, most bosses at this point are not going to be long for this world.
No.
So Naku did finally get his fourth character there with a Shadow, and the unfortunate thing about shuffled equipment permissions is that now Shadow can only equip a flame shield when he hit optimize. Whoops.
That's all you need. That's all you need. You just break it. And then be naked. And then the bosses will be like, get out of here. And they'll, they'll just walk away. That's how I beat the game. I don't know about you.
By mentally scarring the enemies? I mean, fair.
Yeah.
Selfer has now completed Cyan's dream. I'll be very curious to see if Naku is going to end up doing the floating continent. I feel like Naku is the most likely to do it out of all of our runners right now. I don't think he's the only one with Shadow.
I think Jack also has Shadow, yes. Shadow, kind of hard to see.
Yep.
Might be something to do with him being a ninja.
I actually find that true of almost all of the trackers that I have seen or used, is that Shadow is in particular hard to parse.
Yes. Usually the background's a bit dark and Shadow just kind of... There's very little contrast whether he's semi-opaque or not. So, often an issue, but the only other real option there is put a different background behind Shadow than everyone else. Or make sure it's hot pink Shadow, the best Shadow. Although today we have hot orange Shadow.
I mean, orange is my favorite color. I do very much approve of this hot orange Shadow.
I'm sure he's pleased. He put his best clothes on for ladies' night.
Yep. Jack is now climbing up Zozo. Once again, going to be thankful for those warp stones.
Mm-hmm.
Goes out of his way for a chest, which seems a very un-Jack move, but finds a gold hairpin.
I think Jack wants money. Or he wasn't paying attention.
But that gold hairpin can make those Ultimas a much more reasonable cost.
Very much so. Granted, that's not usually going to matter until the final battle, because most things will die before you've run out of Ultimas. Especially if everyone else is throwing level 3 spells. Although we have also seen Jack actually just swinging that Ragnarok instead of casting Ultima.
It is faster.
It is faster, and if you've got a single target, can often be just as damaging.
Brianna is selling the house. I think she's buying a cat hood. I thought she was going to buy an extra thunder shield, but she had already bought one. Can anyone equip the cat hood? Oh, that's sad.
It's one of those things you got to check. There it is.
And we have found Edgar once again. Who invited Edgar to girls' night?
As you said, he probably
invites himself along.
I couldn't finish the sentence.
He invites himself along whether anybody wants him to join or not.
Yeah, let's go with that. Jack now checking Edgar's throne while he's out of the house. And finds the ghost of Edgar's past with a flame shield.
Remember how I said he was going to, just, have Jack luck all over this and find a bunch of flame shields and make Merton the best healing spell in the game?
Yeah, that seems like a thing you might have said.
Yeah, that seems like a thing he might be doing.
Yeah, it seems like it. And now he go to a different place.
Yep.
To Zen.
Grimwolf is pointing out that it might be slower if you swing the Ragnarok and the Ragnarok procs, but that would also give you the possibility of doing more damage because you can break the quad 9 barrier because it's broken into 2 packets. So trade-offs?
Yeah. The other thing is weapons can't proc if it's a killing blow. So if you're pretty confident about where the enemy's HP is, you can just swing it and be like, "Bleh, now you dead." Durgan! First Durgan of the game is the Skull Durgan, quite possibly the least dangerous of all the Durgans, unless you're a solo character.
Not scared by the Skull Dragon. So for the longest time as a kid with that particular sprite, I always thought it was a fern behind the skull and not the rib cage. It took until I was playing this randomizer for me to actually understand that no, that's just the rib cage of the skeleton and not a random fern behind those enemies.
Well, I mean, you find a decomposed skeleton in the woods, you're gonna find some plants around it.
It was entirely reasonable, I thought.
Yeah. The sprite I always found the most confusing is one of the crabs you fight on the Leet River, because it's holding its claw over its head, and I always thought that claw was its face, because its face is very inobvious. There's some weird stuff that happens when you're playing these on cart TVs, and you're also a kid.
Or CRT TVs, as most of us would call them.
I don't have time to pronounce all that.
Brianna has found Strago. Is Strago welcome to Girls' Night, or is he going to be a creepy old man?
Realm's already been doing Ladies' Night with her dad around on some of our screens, and yeah. I gotta say, probably having your grandpa along is gonna help with Edgar being there.
Fair.
But now we can see everyone's favorite checks. It's a Burning House Tower.
Burning House, Fanatics Tower, and Ebot's Rock.
Yeah, people hate Ebot's Rock. I have learned to not hate it.
The last time I did Ebot's Rock, I had my coral, and then it was a further 3 minutes before I got to the chest.
Yeah. I once had a 10-minute run through there. But in general, on average, it's going to take you about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Unless you get a real outlier, like we have apparently both done. Even if you're doing it quickly, though, it feels awful to do. The speed of the check and the feeling of the check are opposites. Curse Shield is at 13. Jack is fighting a Dirt Durgan, one of the most dangerous Durgans, but he seems to have at least 3,000 health at this point.
Yeah, Jack seems to be doing just fine here. I'm not super worried about that Dirt Dragon. The biggest thing it can do is that initial quake, so that's about the best it can do.
Jack, interestingly, pulling out Stunner with Setzer, the sword tech, not the little knife, didn't do a lot of damage.
I am wondering if I was really hoping that I was going to be able to talk and prevent that one from happening, but apparently I failed there. I'm wondering if he has put on a Magic Power Plus Esper for Setzer, which would make Stunner much better.
It only did like 1,200 or something. It didn't seem worth it. Maybe it was just testing it out.
There is another Elemental Shield, again, if we want to do Merton strats.
I think he's going to be fine without it. But many options are available. We are now seeing a Valley Garmanda check for Jack, a Phoenix Cave check for Naku, and Zelfer following Brianna down into the bottom of Figaro Castle. Another goddess! Probably going to have an easier time with this one than the previous one. But with Ultima and Junk.
Cannot imagine that this goddess is going to cause any sorts of issues. I mean, even a Bolt 3 to the face isn't going to do very much to Jack at this point.
Yeah, we are seeing again, though, he is definitely opting constant. Well, now he's got Genji Glove Ragnarok going on, so solid play there for faster than Ultima and a lot of damage. Third goddess!
So we have a double goddess fight going on at this moment.
One of them sitting on a delicious bed of tentacles. That seafood soup that Ultros is always talking about.
That's going to be a whole bunch of nope noodles for me, thank you.
I would love to see that on a menu.
A whole bunch of nope noodles?
Yeah, just a whole section of nope noodles. Valley Garmanda goddess is dead and produces the Esper. Golem.
So it is looking to me like Jack might be going for the Kefka's Tower skip at this point.
Whether or not he's going for it, the character side of that was not that difficult to do. In getting, 12 Espers, you're probably going to run into 7 or 8 characters. But killing an extra 2 Durgans is also not that hard, so I think he's just seeing how it plays out.
I believe it is actually fewer dragons that you have to kill.
Yep, 2 instead of 4. So it's mostly a matter of whether you think it's easier to get 2 Espers or easier to kill 2 Durgans. And only 2 of the Durgans are free, because you're not going to want to do the 2 in Kefka's Tower to get the Kefka's Tower skip.
It really depends, I think, on what checks I have left as to whether or not I think 2 dragons or 2 espers are easier to do. And it appears that all of the dragons this seed are going to be played by the Dirt Dragon and the Skull Dragon.
Yeah, the top ones didn't show up, so they got the understudies. But yeah, we are seeing Phoenix Cave is available, Edgar's check is available, so 4 Durgans are on the table pretty easily. Phoenix Cave is a bit more out of your way than the Ancient Cave if you're committed to doing the first Edgar check. Most runners you see will go down there if they're gonna bother doing Danger Noodle Plaza. And we get from there for Brianna Ifrit. Esper's all over the place today, but that's kind of the thing with no free progression. There aren't that many dead checks available, depending on how many starting characters you have.
Ifrit has Quick, which means if Brianna still has the gem box and has an economizer, we could see, 6 bubbles at a time?
Bum Rush! Not a common thing to see Jack get in particular. This is a solid 45 seconds of just sitting around. But also it means he's level 42 already.
I wonder if that also means he needs to take a bio break.
Entirely possible. A gold Durgan over there on Brianna's side. Hopefully she doesn't have any Medusas in her party to be shined in the face.
Once again, some of these dragons are just not scary. I don't understand what the logic was to have the gold dragon. One of the dragons in Kefka's Tower regularly cast Bolt 1.
Some people are scared of thunderstorms. Like dogs.
Bolt 1 in the final dungeon.
It's just a dinosaur pretending to be a dragon. You can't expect the world out of it. Probably doesn't even know what's going on. It's gonna be all weirded out by the fancy new technologies and the lack of other dinosaurs and all these weird mammals. But it's a soldier. This soldier has an Aura Lance. Yay! But at least a Durgan was fought along the way.
Absolutely. We do need to remove the Scourge of Dragons from the world.
Of course.
I just had a very distressing thought.
About dragon genocide?
Well, so one of something doesn't work. Like, it
Nope.
doesn't work to just have a single dragon.
Gotta have more than one so they can insert
Make-
themselves into
So they can make more dragons, Mr. Entity, so they can make more dragons.
Yeah,
Which makes me wonder, are we A, causing an extinction event of dragons that would have happened anyway? Or B, can a gold dragon make a new dragon with an ice dragon?
I think they just split in two like amoebas.
And hey, Naku is doing the floating continent. I think I actually called that.
You sure did. And they finally answered.
Floating continent is honestly, I think I do Burning House and Fanatics Tower way more often than I do Floating Continent.
I would take Floating Continent over Burning House. What was the other one you said?
Fanatics Tower.
Why was that included in the list?
I'm just saying that I hate. But like, those are three checks that I hate, and I tend to do the
Oh.
other two more than I do Floating Continent.
So you must especially hate the Floating Continent.
Yes, that was the whole point of my sentence.
Oh, I see. You know, you should treat floating continents just like regular continents. They're continents too.
I don't know what I expected when I signed up for this, but for somehow it wasn't this, and I was wrong to not expect this.
I'm here. Sometimes I say things. Ooh, Quad 9 Bum Rush. Now Terra has her own Ultima.
Unfortunately, it's an Ultima that can occasionally just not work if you hit your buttons wrong.
Yep. Especially if you have particularly wonky controllers as well. But, you know, you can make it easier by just going with the cardinal directions and leave out the diagonals.
That is true, because I'm not sure if it was the SNES controller or this game in particular that could not interpret diagonals, so would accept, and for that reason, the game accepts either of the cardinal directions on either side of the diagonal as that diagonal input.
I would have to go play a lot of Street Fighter 2 to find out the answer to that. Or just not care.
I mean, that is a thing you could choose to do with your life. Jack is now going up to the floating continent as well. And it does look like that the boss here is Umaro. The last time I found myself on the floating continent, it was a Magi Master, and I was very sad.
Yeah. It's like the Burning House. You gotta do a bunch of stuff, and then there's a boss, but in this case there's also a second boss. So if either of those bosses are a boss that is not a good boss, then it's a boss you don't want to boss there, and you can have a bad boss time.
Boss.
Yeah. It is pretty boss.
I mean, one could argue that we are in a boss babe seed.
I will argue that... Shut up.
You had to expect some shenanigans when I came along on this journey with you, so, you know, what goes around comes around.
Does it? I should stop doing a lot of things. Dualahan fight in the sky. Progressing towards the ground, Zelfer has successfully searched the skies or randomly run into Doomgaze. I was not paying attention to his screen, anyway. Jack fighting the Umaro. Obviously gonna be catching up to Naku here pretty quickly. He's got all the offense in the world. And we'll see where Brianna's going. Looks like we're gonna get our first look at Azur's mansion. No, we've seen people here before. That was where Shadow was. Another bum rush getter with Zelfer. So two of our, top community runners going for a thing most runners would not go for most of the time.
Yep, absolutely. Naku did find, I believe it was Tritok as the Esper here.
Mm-hmm.
Tritok did have Life 3 and a second source of Merton, so that's pretty nice.
Very generous seed overall. Aside from, an early goddess, or not really much has put a damper on any of the runners' runs.
See, not every seed I roll is a dumpster fire.
Well,
Just
you're,
most
you're
of them.
doing it wrong.
Just most of my seeds are dumpster fires. I'm still waiting for the, double or triple Funbaba 3 in Kefka's Tower.
Yeah. I would be especially amused if someone went out of their way to fight Toilet Atma and found a Funbaba 3 there.
That would involve several questionable decisions going into that, so
Yeah.
that would be one they did it to themselves.
Toilet Atma, not super seen in this round. I mean, we see him a lot, and then we leave him alone. He does have an item in his pool for a reward, and he is sitting on a save point, but it's a boss fight. You don't need to fight. So, why would you?
Ficta is bringing up a good point. We have an Atma weapon. We have seen offerings. No one seems to be going for that strategy yet.
And we are definitely into territory of Atma good.
Yes.
Well, we'll just have to ask peoples. But I think... I'm not sure I wrote it down when I wrote down the little summary of flags, because it's standard, but it is something that we've experienced before on stream, where I've asked that question, why was no one using the Atma weapon, and the answer was, oh, I didn't know that was a standard flag. And it's easy to miss, it's just one little checkbox.
But they've all kept their Atma weapons. They've had plenty of opportunities to sell them.
Ah, valid point. Maybe they've just gotten distracted by the myriad other things they can do. Look, it's Hudat's best friend come back from the grave. And now it's going back to the grave.
So, to explain a question in chat. So, Atma weapons damage is based on a couple of things. It has its own unique damage formula. One of the things that it is based on, it does have a factor of your total your health percentage. So if you're at full health, it will do 100% of its possible damage. If you have, lost 10% of your HP, it will do 10% damage. Your total HP doesn't actually matter. All that matters is your HP percentage. The thing that most often nerfs Atma weapons damage is that there is also your current level divided by 64 factor in the damage formula, which in the randomizer, we have a flag that's on here to make the Atma weapon better, which changes that from 64 to 32. So it's much better at lower levels.
Twice as better.
More than technically, I think, but math is weird.
Yeah, you hear that, Hudat? Math is weird. Get a better job.
So yes, so Dogwood, we have definitely gone out of our way to make the Atma weapon more usable. Frankly, because it's kind of supposed to be an ultimate weapon in this game, and it felt really sad that no one ever used it.
Yeah, it was much more useful as 30k. So you can see Jack's offense here paying off as he got past Naku on the floating continent and is now leaving. That shows you what a few extra levels and some good equipment can do. Jack now 1 Esper and 2 Dragons away from Kefka's Tower normally, or 3 Espers and 0 Dragons. Sorry, no, he's just going right in.
Not going for the skip. Alrighty. So an hour 16 entrance into Kefka's Tower with a 412 Oh, you know what? He's going to take the 2 dragons in the tower.
Yep. Exactly. It's not... The skip today was not that much of a time saving. I guess it's just if you happen to find a couple extra espers, which is not super likely with the character requirements though, then you could not have to do a slightly longer walk into KT, but I'll be surprised if we find anyone actually doing the skip. These dragons, once you've gotten to this point, are not usually particularly difficult. I see rename cards!
Time for the memes.
Yay, memes.
All right, Zelfer making his way through the Magitech factory, finding that Narapa, which is once again just not a scary enemy at all.
Nope.
Naku going through the South Figaro cave, and Brianna is headed somewhere. Back to the world of balance.
And there's the number 128 fight for Naku. And Jack, as noted, walking through KT. That is an X-zoned Narapa for Zelfer. It's a good spell to use on Narapa, as Narapa is inherently reflected. Jack finds an Ice Durgan, and luckily, has had Fire 3 for it.
Absolutely. Yes, Dogwood. So welcome to the community. Please join us in our Discord. We have lots and lots of various resources for new players who want to try this randomizer out. And one of my favorite things about this randomizer is if you want to play it competitively and, you know, do races, you can. If you want to put on a whole bunch of really silly flags that make it a very, very challenging experience, you can do that. Or if you want to, you know, make the XP multiplier times 43 and become level 99 in 4 battles, you can also do that. It is very customizable.
Sure is. And we got events and stuff, once you get decent at it, that happen. And lots of people to help you out with that, getting okay enough to participate in an event. End of sentence.
Yep, we have lots of things. We have written guides, we have video guides, we have Moogle's First Seed videos made by your 2 commentators here. You know, we have lots and lots of things to help new players get up to speed.
Yeah, it's a very welcoming community, and you should check it out.
They still like me, despite the fact that, you know, I keep rolling seeds with Funbaba 3 in Kefka's Tower.
And I keep saying things.
Hello, Dustin Lance Metzger. I butchered that. I'm sorry. It's kind of what I do. But welcome. This is a community race for Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, an open world randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. Kind of in the same vein as Free Enterprise, you start the game off with the airship and a certain number of characters. We typically play character gating, where each one of those characters opens up a certain number of checks. As you can see on our stream here, there are certain requirements to enter into Kefka's Tower to beat the final boss. We need at least 4 characters, 12 espers, and to have beaten 4 dragons to get to Final Kefka. Once you beat Final Kefka and he goes crack, boom, flashy, flashy, and dies, you are done the run and time is called.
And then you call the police because he flashed you.
Kefka is a crazy clown who has literally destroyed the world. Do you think the police, A, exist anymore, and B, are going to do anything?
Well, once they hear about him flashing people, the rest of that stuff's pretty easy to ignore.
So there are roundabout ways to have Leo in your party. One of the things you can change is the various sprites. You can see that we've randomized the palettes already, so our characters have lots of nice purple hair here. So you could change one of the characters into Leo, and you could give that character Leo's ability Shock. But there isn't a way to have quote unquote actual Leo in your party, if that makes sense.
But you can have an ersatz one.
Yes.
Oh, Atma weapon equipped on an Edgar. Dead Goddess for Zelfer. Jack pushing them weights, gaining them strengths. Gonna find out what a Guardian is.
Please be Funbaba 3. If it's possible. So, for those who are unaware, the reason why I keep mentioning Funbaba 3 is that Funbaba 3 is the one who uses Baba Breath, and if you get Baba Breath tier, that character leaves Kefka's Tower entirely.
Yep. And then you gotta go all the way back to your airships to get them. I looked away for like 3 seconds and it's already dead, so...
Yeah. Without normalize and distort stats on, Leader is kind of not a whole bunch.
Oh, it's Leader, yeah. Leader, not big deal. Doomgaze can be a big deal, though.
Hi, Edgar.
Good thing Jack does not care about Edgar. I don't think we've done this yet today, so everyone go follow our runners. Then you can boo Jack on his own personal streams as well. And I can't think of much better to do with your time. Unless you want to cure cancer or something. In fact, everybody go follow Curing Cancer.
Right. So Beyond Chaos is a randomizer that still keeps you like in the same storyline. Like you sort of still have to do things in order. This you can do it's open world. You can do them in any order that you want that your characters have opened for you.
Or actual open world.
Right. You can do actual open world where you get, where you don't have characters gating checks for you. You can just go do whatever checks you want.
Yep, we do now have a Katana Soul on screen, and yet another goddess. If this is the Valley Garmanda check, as I would suspect, unless it's Kefka at Narsh for some reason, then we will be seeing Zelfer with 14 Espers momentarily.
And catching up on Jack quite quickly.
Yeah.
So I would not say that Beyond Chaos or Worlds Collide, either one is better. They are very different randomizers for very different styles of play.
If you want to play the whole game through, go play Beyond Chaos. If you want to do a run in like 2 hours, play this.
Yes. So the enemies, there are different scaling options. Right here, for every character or Esper our runners get, the enemies gain 4 levels. Typically, progression or scaling is progression times 2 instead of times 4. There's a Funbaba. Oh, please. Oh, please. Did I do it again? Did I roll another Funbaba 3 inside of Kefka's Tower?
Yay, but Jack is going to strategize correctly, kill the crap out of Locke, and now it is not a danger to him. As Funbaba will prioritize blowing dead people out of the screen.
Phrasing. Lord Almighty.
Sorry, Funbaba will prioritize inserting dead people to off of the screen.
Somehow that's better, and that concerns me. So there are other options for scaling. You could do it by game time, by your party's level, by your highest level character. There are various options within the randomizer. Go check out the website, check out our guides. You can see how absolutely customizable your experience can be here.
Yeah, Zelfer got that Zelfer luck, did 2 Esper checks in a row, now going for the statue skip. And catching up to Jack. So we still have a race between these two. Other two lagging a bit behind. Brianna sitting on 6 characters, 5 Espers, 1 Dragon. Naku doing a little better at 7 characters, 9 Espers, 1 Durgan. So... But when you're racing Jack and Zelfer, it's kind of an unfair comparison if you're not also in one of the top, like, 6 runners in the game, in the rando community.
Yes, we are all racing the same seed here because otherwise your experiences would not be comparable at all. So yes, on races like this, everyone is doing the same seed. But as you can see, our runners are taking very different paths and making very different choices throughout the seed. That is one thing I prefer in this randomizer to say Free Enterprise. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Free Enterprise. But in Free Enterprise, everyone needs to go find the crystal. So...
Scavenger hunt!
You know, everyone's going to end up doing the same thing. Is this another Funbaba?
Yay!
Did I actually do it?
Oh, but now Funbaba's gonna insert one of the people off the screen that Jack probably wants.
Because it looks like the last Funbaba was Funbaba 4, not 3. Or did he blow one of the characters away?
I don't know, but you told me not to say that.
Did he Baba Breath one of the characters away?
One of those things that's really easy to miss if you're not looking.
Absolutely.
And I was at that point looking at progression of our other runners. Merton on Zelfer's screen. 10k to this soon to be even more doomed gaze. And Brianna fighting a Welk. Hopefully hasn't tried to hit it in the Gru hole.
So this Funbaba here was Funbaba 4. No Baba Breaths happened.
You didn't do it right, Ravlin.
I know. I got really excited. I got real close.
You got close, and you failed. The lesson here is never try.
No, the lesson here is try harder.
That doesn't sound right.
I'm sure that before they realized which Funbaba it was, there was some cursing of my name.
Yeah, we could use your name as an alternate for Leo in the server.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yes.
Jack now at Final Kafka. As I predicted, it was a fairly easy seed. Even the people that are going more slowly aren't really having any particular difficulties. They're just going more slowly. But when you have Ultima, as many people do, I mean, as long as you kept Celeste in your party, and why wouldn't you? You have Ultima.
Absolutely. So we are now on the first of the Final Kefka tiers. For this one, typically you want to use some sort of instant death on the long arm, kill the face, and then kill the short arm last. Otherwise, there are nasty counterattacks that happen, or are at least possible.
Yep. Not usually that big of a difficulty, although sometimes this thing can punch you like a truck, Berserker. But you put fire in his face, you can insta-kill the left hand, and then it go dead. That's a normal human phrase, right?
Close enough.
Good. Good.
Oh, Zelfer gets taken out by the Funbaba.
Ooh. Unexpected.
I mean, that Funbaba did punch for like 1600 damage, so... I think Jack here is really showing us why those fixed encounter checks are really useful, because he is at a far higher level at least a far higher HP than
Uh,
Zelfer. No, maybe not. I don't know.
He has a red cap that is known since the start of the game. So that's probably giving him the edge on Terra's health there. Zelfer sitting 5 something K, Jack at 7 something K. Oh, Zelfer actually almost at 6K.
Yeah, maybe Zelfer just got a little complacent.
It's easy to do when you're playing an Ultima Seed. I know I personally kind of check out about halfway through any seed and start going on autopilot if it's not quite difficult. So running into a Funbaba where you're going, it's just Funbaba. If you're not paying attention, you can still get killed in this game.
Absolutely. So Jack is now on tier 2 of Final Kefka. Typically, you want to mute Magic, the dude in the back. You want to instant death Tools/Machine, which is next to the lady in red. Then the Tiger is weak to ice, and then you want to deal with hit as best you can.
Yep. And there is some argument in the community about whether it's better to kill hit or magic first. I personally default to hit, whether or not I have magic muted, simply because I like to be able to deal with the aftermath of 10 hits, the thing he does when you kill him. And sometimes, if you leave that to the end, you'll walk up to the next tier with a dead guy. Possibly that Funbaba that just got killed by Zelfer.
Yep. X-Zone is a spell that can proc the instant death onto tools. I'm not sure if it has a better hit rate than Doom.
It has an awful hit rate.
No, none of the hit rates here are wonderful.
No, it kind of goes X-Zone and then Doom or Break or somewhere in the same level. And then you got your actually good things that hit all the time, like Air Anchors and Cleave and whatever.
But that is not a choice that we have available to us at the moment.
No. If you're real desperate, you could try a Break Blade or a Doom Darts. Actually, I'm not sure you can break Tools.
Tools is not vulnerable to break, as I learned the other day when I tried to do it like 6 times.
Yeah, most things in the game tend to be vulnerable to both, but I don't know. This is one of those things about this game I've never had the inclination or reason to actually learn, is what is specifically breakable as opposed to doomable.
Characters, again, so a lot of the questions that are going to be asked are, my first response is going to be, it depends on the flags that you choose. So who can equip what? It depends on the flags that you choose. In this case, we had everyone's equipment permissions shuffled, and then they get like an extra 33% of equipment that they can equip.
And all of the relics.
Typically, sort of the standard is original plus a random selection of other equipment. I do believe did Jack restore Realm from Stone, or is she going to get replaced here?
I was looking away. I don't even know what I was looking at. He's got a deadlock. Realm go by.
Realm got replaced by a deadlock. That's unfortunate. Naku found a Ragnarok at the top of Kefka's Tower, which unfortunately
it's a different tower.
Terra cannot equip.
It's a different tower. Although I guess technically it's Kefka's.
It is dedicated to Kefka.
Yeah, we'll just call it Kefka's Tower. We'll just use that phrase from now on.
Absolutely.
So Naku at the top of Kefka's Tower, as is Jack and Zelfer. All very close together in this race to Kefka. Although Naku has only found a ghost.
So Jack is on tier 3. Tier 3 of Final Kefka is typically the one that racers spend the most conscious thought preparing for during a seed. You typically want to find a way to mitigate calmness. Calmness is a physical counterattack that is done by sleep. That is an instant death attack, which means things like Safety Bit and Memento Ring do not protect you against it because those protect you against fatal magic.
Yep, Jack did have the Yi Golem though. So that's solid. Jack now on to tier 4, Final Kefka. I do not foresee problems. I don't even 8C problems. Naku fighting the ghost of the cranes.
Niles and Frazier are not long for this world.
Unless they do that new seasons of the show that they were talking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Neither would I.
Brianna is having a little bit of trouble here with Atma. Atma is not a kind boss, but Celes is using Quick, and I then presume some Ultimas, which will deal with this.
Yep, Zelfer now on to tier 1 of Final Kefka. While Jack is finishing up the top part. Unless something goes very badly for Jack, though, probably gonna see him winning this fight very shortly. Though we have often seen things not go well. Jack is rocking that flare, which means Kefka's not dead, but that was a lot of damage.
It was, and while Kefka is charging up his Goner attack, he will not counterattack you, which is very, very nice, and that is a crack boom, flashy, flashy. Kefka is dead. Jackamus does win our race in first place with a final time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 35 seconds.
He sure does. So that is one dead Kefka. We will try to get an interview in with Jack here momentarily. And then I presume we'll be talking to Zelfer in the near future. Meanwhile, Brianna's sitting at 6-8-1 and Naku 7-10-3, about to get another reward.
Brianna is, having a little bit of trouble here with Atma, but is still making her way through it and is actually, recovered from very, very dire straits several times. So,
yeah, it has not been going super well, but she does appear to be getting through it.
And, people like Jack and Zelfer get a lot of credit for being some of the fastest racers we have. And please don't get me wrong, they absolutely should. But
Right.
Something else I like to point out is people like Brianna who find themselves in these very challenging situations and still manage to dig their way out of it. Because that takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of knowledge as well. And that is something that we are seeing here on full display.
Yeah, a lot of the actual, top tier prowess is more people spend a lot of time in the menus, and that's a hard thing to unlearn. People move a bit too slowly or shop a bit too much. It's not generally, oh, they're worse at the fights. It's, oh, they're worse at the things that aren't the fights. And you can see when you're pulling off a near-death Atmo fight at pretty solid health, clearly knew what they were doing.
Absolutely. Naku went up to find the Dirt Dragon. Did not enjoy that quake to the face.
I usually get quake to my feet. Unless I'm already dead.
Well, you see, the quake tripped me up and I fell down, and that's why it's now on my face.
I see.
Zelfer is making his way through Tier 2 here of Final Kefka. Once again, Tier 2 is not one that we spend a lot of time, or at least I spend a lot of time preparing for as a runner beforehand, but it is one that I think is secretly one of the harder tiers, because there is just a lot that can happen.
3 frozen guys and a zombie.
And that is Zelfer losing his Celis, which means losing his Ultima caster here, going up to tier 3. Again, that is something that can really, change your plans as you go through. And it appears that we are now joined by our winner, Jackimus. Welcome, GG.
I'm a winner again. Yes. How we all doing?
Doing pretty well, having fun watching all this stuff. How about you? How'd you like that seed?
It's fun to be really overpowered from time to time, so that was a fun one.
Yeah, that natural Ultima did a lot of work.
I didn't use it that much, but there were a couple of situations where it was better than Twin Rags.
Yes, you are, I think, the only one on the stream who has opted to have anything Celeste style not be Ultima. But I was saying, swinging swords is fast.
Just the damage potential on a single target is way higher with the big swords than it is with Ultima.
Yep.
Ultima's good for groups, or I use it on Doomgaze because his physical defense is high enough for it to be better than a couple of Ragnarok swings.
Yeah, there's definitely reasons to use either, but there were so many options for people to get through this. There was a full Dragoon setup available, there was obviously Ultima, we've seen Merton strats, tons of shields to break if you don't use Merton strats.
I think I broke every single shield that I found by the end of the game. 5 or 6 in total.
Yeah, you broke a bunch of them on Goddess, and then found enough afterwards to still technically do Merton strats, if you had wanted to.
Most of my guys were wearing Mithril shields at the end of the game. It was just I don't need these. I mean, the game gave you plenty of good body pieces. I bought one Minerva. I was planning to buy more, but then it's here's a Genji armor, here's a red jacket, here's a behemoth suit, and I don't care.
Yep, I think the only thing, aside from some potential issues with that Goddess fight, which didn't turn out to be that difficult, the only issue you really ran into was losing Realm on your way up Final Kefka, and you still kicked the crap out of them.
Realm was the least important member of my team at the end of the game. She was my healer, basically, and I lost her past the point where you really will ever need to heal in the final battle if you know what you're doing.
Fair enough. We did notice that you opted never to use the Atma weapon. Particular reason for that? Or just like the Rag better?
I needed the money for the Ragnaroks.
Oh, you're the only one who sold it then. Everyone else was just sitting on it.
Ragnaroks are way better than Atma weapon, and the thing is, Celios was the only character who needed a physical attack. Realm, Terra, and Setzer were all good for commands and or spells, basically.
Ah, yes. That reminds me that you actually went out of your way to get Bum Rush, which is not a thing we see people do very often, but we saw both you and Zelfer do that tonight.
I probably didn't need it, but the end game plan was very firmly in place from the start. It's okay, Celis has Dance, she's going to be my fighter. Terra's got Blitz, I'll probably pick up Bum Rush later on, and Realm's got Lore and starts with Quasar, she's fine. And then, happened to find a couple of Espers with Fire 3, so, things just got even more potent from there.
So one thing I've been thinking about, because we have several new folks in the chat watching right now. Where do you draw the line between I could be more powerful, but this is good enough? Because I think that's one of the main things that an experienced runner will realize is this is good enough for me to go.
I decided I was good enough at about the 40-minute mark of this one, and the only reason I was still opening chests afterward was for stuff to sell in case Auction House or Tzengai had Espers.
It was no free progression.
Huh?
It was no free progression. They can't have Espers.
That explains why I found so many dead checks everywhere. I wasn't aware of that. I probably wasted a little bit of time. Oh well.
So, pro tip to anyone who chooses to play with us, read the flags.
Hey, I read most of them. I knew that the bosses could be killed with Revivifies, and I did that a few times.
Yeah, or if you don't read the flags, at least read the summary of the flags that I put underneath them.
I thought I read it pretty good, but maybe I didn't. I didn't find a train to suplex, which was very sad.
Yeah, we found a lot of not particularly dangerous bosses outside of repeats of Goddess and Anatma. And we did just see a poltergeist on Brianna's screen.
Yeah, most of the bosses weren't too bad. I was a little nervous about the very last boss before Kefka, since I had 2 of my good characters in a party and Funbaba shows up, and I'm like, oh great, I have to choose between a max damage character every turn or Golem, or just fight through and hope it's Funbaba 4. And I was just like, I'll just fight through. Worst that happens is I lose one or the other. I can get by without either, hopefully. But in hindsight, I really should have probably put Realm together with Terror Setzer instead of pairing them together. But it ended up not being Funbaba 3, so whatever.
Yeah, I know Ravlin and I'm sure everyone else was hoping that both of the Funbabas you found were Funbaba 3, but no such luck today.
First one wouldn't have mattered. As soon as I saw it, I just had Realm set
You
Edgar on
nuked
fire.
the hell out of Edgar, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I know how this attack works, right? Like Funbaba 3 can be a pain, but Baba Breath will always target dead characters first, so it's just like, let's just make sure Edgar's dead before the end of this fight, and we'll go from there. But yeah, like on the second Funbaba fight, once I did over 10,000 damage, I'm just thinking, okay, this is Funbaba 4, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really seem to have any particular problems, as noted, so I didn't really write down any other questions for you. I just noted that you got Ultima first.
Yeah, it was from Nat Levels, and I got the spell, like, right after I saw the Ragnaroks in the shop, and I'm like, oh, geez. I mean, Terra's my favorite for sure, but tonight, Celi's was definitely best girl.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, you got Ultima before level 20 for sure, so we're putting out some damage with that, and we've seen a lot of it on screen.
Yeah, I just brought up the old restream, and looks like Bree's throwing it around. I guess Zell just finished. Good job to him on presumably second place.
Yeah, he entered the final Kefka fight 35, 40 seconds before you won.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't that far off.
Yep. And speaking of which, we are joined now by Zelfer, our second place finisher, with a time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 2 seconds. GG Zell. Well,
I'll get out of the way, but before I do, Zell, you lose to me again. Ha ha! Good night, everybody.
One day.
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye to Jack and also Boo. And GG's on second place there, Zelfer. Not too far behind Jack.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
One definite thing that you did that he didn't was you actually skipped Kefka's Tower. You went and got 2 checks and got obviously all the Zelfer luck and found 2 Espers immediately.
Yeah. I really should have routed it a little bit differently, but I didn't. I wasn't sure if I was going to go for the skip or not, and I forgot the requirements for the skip. I got them mixed with the regular requirements, so that didn't help any either.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. I just want to comment, we are seeing another person go get Bum Rush on a stream. This was something we noticed today. Zelfer, you also got Bum Rush. Jack also got Bum Rush. I'm not sure if Naku did, but everyone else on stream certainly has. That's not something we see that often.
But Bum Rush is so fun. If you got the opportunity, you have to get it. It's just, you just have to take advantage while you can.
I mean, it is very good, but people will go, oh, but 40 seconds? 40 seconds? That's like a million years if you round up to the nearest million years.
But it's also the perfect time for a bio break if you need it, and it worked out really well.
Isn't that what I said?
That is what you said. I'm not sure if it was for Jack or for Zelfer, but it was definitely brought up. I mean, it
was
is...
much appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. You got to find those little pauses. We did also notice you found Kefka really early in the game, and despite doing 9,999 damage to him with an Ultima. You still let him escape. You could have won right there.
Listen. That's just how Kefka is. It's okay. We came back. We took care of it. It was fine. It was really satisfying to just see the 9999 on him early though. That was great.
Yeah, that was a solid Ultima cast. But yeah, the only thing I really wrote down about your run, aside from those things, was just you didn't really seem to have any issues, and then Funbaba wiped you. And then after that, you seemed to have no issues again. Were you just kind of checked out for that fight in particular?
Hold on, which fight was it?
The Funbaba that
Funbaba.
killed you near the end.
Listen, it was the ultimate troll move. I have to hand it to Ravlin. I saw Funbaba. I thought for sure it was Funbaba 3. I made sure to kill Cyan, and yeah, no, that didn't turn out to be true at all. And I was like, oh great, now I'm losing, but that's okay. And then I switched to Terra, and I saw Funbaba again. I was like, oh god, here we go again. No. And no, there was no Funbaba 3s.
Yeah,
It was the ultimate perfect mental troll move. Congratulations, Ravlin.
I aim
despite
to please.
despite the viewers' hopes, it did not go the way we wanted it to. But at least we caused you some trauma.
It did cause some trauma. Thanks a lot.
Well, points for that, Ravlin.
I apologize for nothing.
We
Yeah.
wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
I
so
know, right?
what did you think of the flag set overall? There was some interesting progression stuff going on for sure.
Alright, well, I was really worried about progression 4 in the very beginning. I really was. And I was like, alright, we gotta try to take some fights. I was really hoping to find like a random rod or something so that I could like kill my first fight without like doing the abilities. But dance turned out really good, so that turned out okay. And I forgot that for leveling it was average level, and so it was perfectly fine to just sit there and keep on killing stuff and take all the fixed encounters to just raise your level, and that would be fine. And about half an hour in, I remembered that, and I was like, oh yeah, I probably should have done that. Oh well.
Yeah, sometimes you just forget a flag.
Yeah, sometimes you do, and yeah, thankfully we remembered partially through, so it wasn't a total loss.
Oh, Chancellor on screen. But Jack also forgot that no free progression was a thing, or didn't read it, so he apparently went to a bunch of dead checks, and we just thought he was getting items.
Oh yeah, in the beginning I got items, and I was happy for that. And then when I went to Figaro Throne, completely forgot that was free progression too, or no free lunch or whatever it is. And I went over and got a flame shield, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh wait a minute, that's right, this thing's useless too. Great, never mind.
Yep, there were a lot of elemental shields kicking around too, although I think you're the only one we actually saw cast Merton.
I wish Terra could have equipped one of those elemental shields. I was so upset that she couldn't equip the fire or an ice shield. I would have used the Merton a little more often then.
Oh, that's what that I did notice you screwing around in your menu for a while with the elemental shields. I guess that's what you were trying to do.
That's exactly what I was trying to do. I was like, shuffled equipment. She could probably still equip an elemental shield, and then she couldn't equip ice. And I was like, wow, all right. I guess she picked up Gogo's equipment. All right, whatever. Or not Gogo, Umaro, my bad. And then I got a flame shield, and I was like, okay, she could definitely equip the flame shield. Nope, can't do that either. And I was just like, never mind, I give up Terra.
Yeah, unfortunate. Luckily, there were so many other ways to get through this seed. The game was very generous with killing options.
Yes, it was. Thank goodness. It was much appreciated.
Yeah, well, I don't have any other questions. How about you, Rev?
No, I mean, I think, you put on a great show for us. Thank you so much. You also showed off the skip, which was really nice to see how the Kefka's Tower skip works. So, thank you once again for, putting up a good fight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. If you ever want to see the skip again, I love doing the skip all the time, and I'll probably do it even when I shouldn't. So, yeah, no follow-ups. Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
All right, GG's again. We'll see you the next time.
All right, and here we are. Brianna is going down Kefka's Fanatic's Tower. Wrong tower.
No, we agreed. It's Kefka's Tower.
And Naku is going through the first of the Funbaba fights. You know, I guess this is sort of the ultimate troll. You know, it's Funbaba, but it's not the one that you're worried about. But
Better
you won't
kill
know
all your
that until-
peoples.
You won't know that till the end of the fight.
Yeah, so Brianna, 2 Espers back here, 4 if she wants to do the skip, just getting leg day in at the moment. So she'll be a little bit behind Naku, coming up to the end here. But, as we have said many times on this channel, things can go wrong. Even Jack could have had something just nasty happen in that final battle, and Zelfra could have taken it from him, so... Whether Naku clearly has an advantage here, but it is still possible for Brianna to catch up.
Absolutely.
I distinctly remember one thing, I believe it was in the Kefka Grand Prix, where Jack got to Kefka first, had 2 entire fights with Kefka, 2 other people were also at Kefka, and someone else spent 20 minutes running around outside just doing stuff, and they're the one that came in first place.
Yep, that's one of the reasons why we do not scale the final Kefka fight, because we, A, want the final boss fight to be equal for everyone, because if it's scaled and, you know, scaled to your average level and someone goes in at level 3 and someone goes in at level 30, they're going to have very different experiences.
Yep.
So unscaled final Kefka means that everyone is going to have the same, you know, end goal fight.
Yeah, originally in this randomizer, there wasn't even an option to keep Kefka unscaled, and the final fights tended to be fairly anticlimactic. So
Absolutely.
I'm quite glad we switched it, although now that we have a lot more options to fiddle with how fights are scaled and so on, scaling Kefka can turn out to be quite interesting.
Yep. One of my favorite flags is actually normalize and distort stats, where it will take some of the stats of the weaker bosses, things like leader, tunnel armor, and interestingly, girl on tier 3, and increase their stats. I had a seed the other day where the girl had, I believe it was 27,000 HP.
Yeah, that is, I think, the max she can have, but she does have a 1 in 3 chance of casting Whirlwind every turn, so... Hope your damage output was good.
I mean, I'm not still playing the seed, so it was good enough.
Oh, Brianna doing something there. That's very interesting. Kind of hard to see if you're not looking for it, but she took a step to the left immediately upon entering that building, and that stops the dog from walking across there. Saves you a couple seconds while you wait for the dog to get in the thing.
So one other thing I would like to point out is, so we do these weekly community races. We also have various other events going on right now that are all organized by community members. They are not all organized by admins or other quote-unquote official folks. We have one event going on right now called The Ladder, where we're actually introducing an ELO scoring system so that you can see sort of how you rate in comparison to other runners. We also have an event going on that we're just starting, something about drafting flags before you face off against your opponent. So that is another interesting sort of way to play this game.
Yep, that one I'm particularly interested in because we don't really have anything else like that in this community, and I haven't seen it elsewhere, although it is apparently based on Final Fantasy I randomizer has a similar thing. But we do have sometimes, usually, streams for The Ladder on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, and if we can get them, we'll have draft restreams on Fridays at the same time. So stop by and check those out. We also have a YouTube's page where some of those get put up, which I think that's the command for it. Go check that out. if you want to see some past races or if you just missed something.
And once again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I do want to mention it again. Any money that we get from subscriptions or bits here on the Twitch channel that gets, as we get paid out, we will donate that money to a charity. We pick the charity based on sort of the next event that one of our community members is a part of. That is raising money for a charity. So I believe we donated when Fraggle was raising for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And then in a few hours, I will be doing a marathon with the Game Goyles, raising money for the Trans Legal Defense and Education Fund. I got it right this time.
Hooray!
I'll be running that at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time because, you know, sometimes when you submit to marathons, you get prime time and sometimes you don't.
Yep. It was, I believe, Grimwolf, though, doing that St. Jude's thing.
Oh, was it Grimwolf? You know what? I have slept since then, so my memory is imperfect.
It's been a few minutes. I don't actually remember off the top of my head what Fraggle was raising money for, but he did do a 24-hour marathon of this, going through all of the seeds from the Kefka Grand Prix, a previous event with a bunch of weird flag sets. It was good times.
So for people who want to join and play, there are lots of events that happen. If you come in and join the community and decide, hey, I've got an idea for a tournament or an event that I want to run, that opportunity is there. You are certainly welcome to do it. And, you know, we don't keep any money here. We donate it on to various charities that our community members have chosen to support with their time and efforts.
Is good place with good peoples. We do now have Naku on tier 1 of Final Kefka. Brianna's still looking for those 2 dragons that she can kill on the way into the tower. Or maybe going out of her way to find the 2 Espers like Zelfer did. We will have to see.
But certainly going to buy a couple of Minerva.
As one does. Both Edgar and Celeste can wear them, and that is her party. Same party as Naku there on the bottom.
I suppose, you know, if Edgar's going to wear the Minerva bustier, you know, maybe he'll fit in with the girls' night. No judgment. You do you, Edgar.
Not making the joke.
Thank you. I mean, I suppose one of the most accurate translation for at the end of the Phasma scene, where Realm calls Edgar is pretty boy.
Interesting.
That was a rather long discussion in our Discord the other day. Our Discord conversations occasionally get as strange as the discussions that Mr. Entity and I have had here on stream.
I am also in the Discord.
It's like these things are related.
Like Edgar and Sabin.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
Yeah, I brought it back to talking about Edgar.
Yeah.
It's good.
So yes, if you are enjoying the vibe that you're getting from you know, the chat, from the stream, come join us in the Discord. It's going to be much the same vibe.
And I'm there. So maybe don't, but do. You can just ignore me. It's not that hard. Unless you're Ravlin right now.
Right. And I will also note at the end of this, once we finish up this stream, we are going to go raid the Game Goyles Marathon. So let's go give them some love. They have had a little bit of low viewership, so let's spread the love over to another marathon that's raising some good money for charity.
Charity good. I mean, that's basically what I do with most of my streams all summer, so maybe come by me and throw me $1 as well. Doing all them 4-job fiestas, often using the Career Day randomizer, which is like this randomizer but for Final Fantasy V. There are many charities. Go give money to all of them.
There are many charities and there are many events. I would say our community is particularly active in terms of, trying to do events both for fun and to raise money. So I'm very proud of our community.
Yep. There's some good peoples in there. Brianna did just go to the auction house, presumably looking for Espers. Guess that's another person that didn't read or forgot the no free progression flag was on. Which is odd, because Brianna made this flag set.
Yeah, but when you're in hour 2 of running a seed, things tend to fade.
Oh yeah, as mentioned earlier, I run on autopilot after the first half. I've done too many of these to pay attention to the whole thing. Well, looks like we're gonna get a lone wolf check. And who dat's gonna give out some subs. Thank you, who dat? And congratulations, Grimwolf and Zelfer and Elastoid and Franklin and Blitzhamster.
I don't recognize the name Blitzhamster, but I just want to comment, it's fantastic.
It's a good name.
Currently, we have the emote for the channel is our Poltergeist Spicy Chicken emote.
We should work on getting the Boo Jack emote on.
I'll consider it.
It's my favorite one. You probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So Naku is making his way through Tier 2 here of Kefka.
Yep.
And I expect Brianna is going to finish up the Lone Wolf check, and then on the way down, do the Kefka at Narsh check and hope for 2 Espers so that she can do the skip.
That would be the ideal. We can see that's not a character. We will have to see whether this Wolfie Wolf is a character. It is not, so definite possibility for double Esper with the no free progression stuff. Although, does Lone Wolf? No, Lone Wolf takes way too long to be no free progression.
Correct.
Ooh, but does she want that cherub down?
No. I have never had a hard decision here at the Lone Wolf check. I have had hard decisions at the weapon shop in World of Ruin Narsh.
I have one time had that be Paladin Shield or character. But the weapon shop check always pulls from the good item pool for the 2 options, if they're items, whereas that is just any random item, so you might luck out and get the 1 out of 256 or whatever items that's useful at that point.
I think the last tough choice I had was between an Esper and a Valiant Knife.
Depending on how the rest of the seed goes, that is actually a choice. Unlike
Right.
most of the time.
I ended up going for the Valiant Knife and hoping that I would get Terra later and find the Esper after I did the Welk check. So both of the checks, Lone Wolf and the weapon shop, the other option that you don't choose, you can find in the opposite world. So if you, what's in the World of Ruin weapon shop, you will find in the World of Balance behind Welk, and what's up at Lone Wolf, you will find in the World of Ruin where you would normally find Mog in vanilla.
And you almost never see anyone get that one because it requires going a fair distance out of your way. There are some chests along that route, but still quite a rarity.
And here we go. Naku is going into their final Kefka fight with their full. It's looking like Realm is going to quick and then cast a whole bunch of stuff. I am fully expecting this Kefka to go down very fast.
We're about to see Chancellor Edgar for, I think, the first time, because I haven't noticed that he had morphed yet.
That is one of your favorite little Easter eggs to put in, isn't it?
Every time I run one. I'm especially amused when people actually let the ending play out if they were one of the first ones to finish, and you get to see a whole section of Chancellor saving the world.
All right, so Realm has done double Quasar. Celis is about to do probably double Ultima.
Mm-hmm. Gonna be a real easy fight for Naku.
Is Kefka going to get to perform an action is my question.
He's certainly beyond chaos territory at this point. He will skip the fallen one. But Naku is putting out a lot of damage. It might be enough to kill Kefka before he does a damn thing. Oh, no, he decided to punch a little girl in the face.
Well, that just, solidifies our choice to actually just remove Kefka from the equation here.
Yep. Go Chancellor. Terra taking off the crystal shield for some reason. Maybe looking for an elemental? Or just looking at the crystal shield and then going, eh. Now, this is kind of dangerous territory if you haven't been paying attention to the numbers, because that was a lot of damage put out real fast, but I do think at least 2 of the people, 3 of them probably could tank an Ultima at this point. So I would just go straight for it.
And he punches a little girl a second time. Kefka is really just proving that he is a bad dude.
Yeah, he should listen to more Oingo Boingo. Then maybe he too would love little girls.
What?
It's a song from the 80s by Danny Elfman.
Uh-huh.
You should go listen to it. It's really good.
I'm sure it is.
Interestingly, the music video for it has Peter Dinklage in it, what played Tyrion. And he looks the same age. But
Alrighty, and now we have charging up the Goner, which means there will be no more counterattacks. So once the screen starts shaking like this, now is your time to pump in as much damage as humanly possible. And there we go. Crack, boom, flashy, flashy. It's Naku is done in 3rd place with a time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 48 seconds. Let's see if they want to join us.
yes. They're leaving just Brianna to finish up here in KT. Not that far behind. As mentioned, had Naku had an issue with Kefka, which no one really has today, Brianna could have caught up. Still.
Absolutely. Final Kefka is still the final boss and can just decide that he's going to end you.
He sure can. And we are now joined by It's Naku. GG's, well played.
Thank you.
So
What did you think of the seed?
Everything was great until the only Foombabas happened to be in the statues.
That was the best part.
They weren't the bad Foonbabas.
Thankfully. Especially since I went 2 for 2, I would have actually had to warp out.
Right?
Yeah, I was hoping the whole time for a 5 Funbaba KT, but it didn't go that badly.
Like, do you hate us? What'd we do to you?
Brianna made the flags.
All I did was roll the seed. I think
I already blamed Bree.
Well done.
Bree just warped out and is reforming her party to go through the double bosses. That's actually a really interesting thing to do when you have the skip available.
Yeah.
Sorry, Naku, I got very distracted.
It's okay.
That is a thing I do a lot.
With the statue skip, I could see myself willing to warp out a whole lot more often, but if I can avoid it, I definitely would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, depending on what bosses are there, you can actually save time by just putting a full party of 4 down each one.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times when Spicy Chicken was in the way, and honestly, occasionally it's a good move.
Yep, can save you some time, can prove to be pointless, so it's just up to your instincts at the time. What did you think of the flag set overall, outside of the Finbaba, though?
It was a lot of fun. It was challenging at the beginning, but then after you got going, it kind of steamrolled. Damage was insane. The items were pretty good. I honestly, there was a point where I saw myself looting and I was thinking, what could I possibly be afraid of? And then, of course, there was a Fumbaba at the statue.
Of course. Where else would it be?
Never ask a question like that of a seed that I have rolled, because the seed will show you what you could be afraid of.
I'm just looking forward to tomorrow so that I can tease you the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You will probably see me descend into madness.
Yay, madness. Is Naku the one doing the commentary with you tomorrow?
So I'll be joined by Naku and Vamp.
Oh, right on. Vamp is a nighttime person.
I'm a morning person. I'm usually awake about 5 or 6 in the morning, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to help somebody out.
My
appreciate
natural go-to-sleep time is 4 in the morning. Getting up at 6 would kill me in the face.
And
But yeah, you would think we're the only one we saw actually equip the Atma weapon, which was interesting. Did you ever find the offering for sale?
I didn't find the offering for sale. I did find the Valiant knives, and I was thinking about going back, but I had kind of hard committed to a magic party, so I didn't
Yeah.
care. The Atma weapon I put on only because it's passably okay with the new flag on. And, you know, it did some work. I was swinging for 4,000, I want to say.
Yeah, you can certainly do a bunch of damage with them if you get your levels reasonably high, or you put it on a strength character, or, you know, you pair it with an offering. It used to be utter trash.
And now it's worth grabbing, and not just for selling.
It's not just worth 30k anymore. It actually has some real world value. Yeah.
The biggest thing I find is the fact that it ignores defense.
Yes, very useful. I'd still rather have like a Valiant knife, but like I wanted to save the time and not even worry because I was fully committed to Magic.
Yeah, it seemed like the game was pretty generous with spells today. You got the natural Ultima on Celeste, you got a few level 3s. Merton was available, although I think Zelfer's the only one that actually wound up using it.
I used it on one of the Fumbabas, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or, no, Doomgaze.
Alright. Must have been looking away for a second, as is a thing I have to say about 20 times every time I do commentary.
Yeah, I took Realm and Edgar through the center because it was my strongest team. It makes sense to send your strongest through the middle path, but
100%.
yeah, Realm had Merton, and I had fire prevention on both Edgar and Realm, so I decided to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason we didn't see other people use it is as Zelfer spent a solid couple minutes in his menu just trying to put an elemental shield on Terra, who I think also couldn't wear the Minerva, so...
Yep, Terra didn't seem to have any elemental protection that I could find. I had considered trying to find a Rage Ring, which would guarantee it, but it was too much time.
Yeah, you don't usually want to go dumpster diving in all the stores just for one random, not great relic.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if I'd seen it, and I didn't want to go looking for it.
Yeah, it's not one of those ones that I would remember by the end of a seed if I had seen it. It's one of those ones I go, oh, and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a very likely chance that I actually had one and sold it before I found Merton too, so...
Entirely
You know.
possible, yeah. But I didn't really have any other questions. It was difficult to write down questions today because everyone just kind of killed the seed. But I think we saw like 1, maybe 2 wipes on the whole restream.
Yeah, I remember early I took a reset, and I don't remember why. I think I was going for a grind, and I found a formation that wasn't friendly.
Mm.
But other than that, it was pretty easy to get through.
Yeah, it did not seem that difficult. Obviously, at the start, everyone was just grinding out some levels because of that prog 4 on the enemy levels. But yeah, after that, everyone just kind of walked through the rest of it. Just going, I presume you were going,
Well, there was one point where I thought I was ahead, but then again, I was going up against Jack and Zelfer, so I should never actually consider that.
Never compare yourself to Jack and Zelfer. I think 2:13 is probably a pretty solid normal racer time for this. Jack and Zelfer win events regularly, so
Yeah, they are incredibly good. But I mean, I'm glad that I wasn't all that far behind them in the scheme of things. But still, I do gotta let you go because I am going to sleep. Ravlin and I have a early start tomorrow. I don't envy you, Ravlin.
Hey, I'm doing this to myself, and I'll see you around 6 a.m.
It's for a good cause. I just want to say GG's to all the runners, Zelfer, Jack, and Edgeworth that finished before me, and good luck to Bree, and everybody have a good night.
all right, congratulations again. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Bree is now in her tier 1 of her Kefka fight. One other thing I do want to sort of follow up on the shoutouts. I do want to shout out the other member of our Restream team, who is quietly in the background, Ceiling Cat. Ceiling Cat has been filling out a tracking sheet for us, which has been incredibly useful for me to look at and realize that, yes, they are going to get what they want by going up to Kefka at Narsh and the Tritalk fight. So once again, thank you to Ceiling Cat for being able to keep up with all 4 runners at the same time on tracking.
Yeah, she has yet to say, oh, I must have looked away for a second.
Oh, and Franklin as well. Thank you.
The old double tracker.
Yeah, and also shout out to you, Mr. Entity, for doing talkies and running the actual restream at the same time.
Yay, me. And thank you
And-
to Ravlin for being here and having it not just be me saying stupid things the entire time. Only some of the time.
And the other half of the time was me doing stupid things.
Yay, stupid things.
And, one final shout out to our developer, Atmatech, who has been the solo developer of this randomizer and has been doing absolutely phenomenal work. So, once again, thank you to Atmatech for creating this game that we all love and enjoy so much.
Yay, Atmatech. If you could just keep saying things that I can respond to with that would make the rest of this commentary really easy.
Here we're going, and Brianna is now headed up to tier 2. Bree, I think, is probably has the most raw power with Celis with the Gembox and Economizer and Quick. So I expect these tiers to go down very, very quickly. Yay, Gembox.
Oh, I was gonna say yay tears, but that seemed wrong.
And once again, once we finish up with this, please stick around and we will head over to the Game Goyles Marathon, where they are currently playing Superliminal. Game that I am not super familiar with, but looks interesting. So,
I mean, that's just a reference to a Simpsons episode. It's the only thing I can think of. It's the opposite of subliminal. Hey, you!
my lord.
Join the Navy! It's a superliminal ad.
Anyway,
All the Ultimas in the world, as expected. We'll just have to see how many Ultimas the world has.
however many Ultimas the world has, I think Bree is going to cast at least one more.
Seems likely, but now she's got a frozen Ultima Lady, which is the worst kind of Ultima Lady. Unless you
Yeah,
have fire, which she probably does.
Freeze is one of those things that there's really no defense for. Just sometimes it happens.
Just hope you can also set yourself on fire.
I mean, when in doubt, that is always a great course of action here.
Oh yeah, ninjas can't catch you if you're on fire. This is the thing that the internet has taught me.
Oh my goodness, Celis just got
Wow.
frozen again.
Not ideal, especially when that's your biggest damage dealer. I mean, the whole party could probably do this with any two of them dead, but you know, you want that fast damage.
Absolutely.
That fast, all-encompassing Luminaire. But
Yep. The
the wrong
one thing
color.
I would be slightly concerned about is, 10 hits, but seeing how little damage it's actually doing, I am no longer concerned. Never mind.
yeah, if 10 hits is only doing 100 and some, it's not that big a deal. You get here sometimes and you're taking 500 or 600 a hit. And usually in those cases, you also have much less health. Which is why I tend to take out hit as soon as possible after two other things that I take out as soon as possible. So, third as soon as possible. I also just noticed that it's not the 17th month, despite what the title of the stream says. So, good
It
job, me.
happens. Bree is now headed up to tier 3. I am sure that she has either Golem or Fenrir. I know we saw both of them, I believe.
Golem was certainly available. I don't recall seeing a Fenrir, but I may have looked away for a second.
I've also played like 5 seeds in the last 3 days, so they're all sort of blending together in my head.
That never helps. Some windy wind start. Not usually what you want to see, but, lots of healing available. There's Cure 3, there's Life 2. I wouldn't really be concerned about basically anything here. Throwing up a big guard? Unfortunately, I'm fairly certain Medio ignores Shell because it ignores magic defense.
Oh, and Ceiling Cat coming through with the tracking. Brianna is the only one who did not grab that golem, so
Ooh.
looks like this is going to be a do damage and pray.
Well-
There are other options for calmness defense. Fenrir will do it. If you get really creative, Palador can protect 3 of your party members.
Yeah.
Phantom can protect from it. You just have to time it to make sure that you do not also get hit immediately by the Medio, which happens every time I try to use.
I've successfully used Phantom, I think, twice ever. I mostly just stopped trying to do it. But that being said, a lot of the time I've played this game, Kefka was scaled, which makes it a lot harder to predict when you have to do that. Today, we just know that Sleep has 40k health, and you can kind of do... If you can do 10k in a turn, you can time it pretty easily. I imagine Celeste could do almost 20k in a turn if she threw out 2 Ultimas.
Yeah, in terms of speed, DPS and Prey is the fastest. But it looks like...
Oh, she's
It's
also
what-
sitting on Life 3, which is a free one. Takes a minute to set up, but that'll ensure you get... Well, it won't ensure it, because I have had him cast Calmness on the same person twice in a row.
Yes, it is certainly possible, but it does reduce the chances quite a bit. Brianna is actually doing a really creative little strat here where Sleep will only spam Medio when he's under 10,000 HP. So if you cure him above that level, suddenly he'll stop spamming Medio at you. It's great.
Yeah, looks like she's taken the time to set up some Life 3s on everyone. Seemingly, no, the first one was on Celeste. Never mind. I had thought she had done it to the same person twice. But yeah, that'll get her through it without danger. And we should see the end of sleep here in a moment. The end of sleep sounds like a prog metal album.
It really does. So we are going to see an Ultima and a Quick, and then probably double Ultima after that, if he lasts that long. Although Train could certainly put a bit of a damper on this. If Celis doesn't have a ribbon or something, yep, nope, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, Train's always an issue here at the end, especially if you haven't stocked up on remedies earlier. You kind of gotta go with echo screens, and that's a dead Celeste, but that's a live Celeste.
And there we go. It was only the one cast there, so looks like Brianna is now up to final Kefka, and I don't predict this Kefka is going to last very long.
Unlikely for him to survive, what with all the quicks available, all the high damage spells available, all the Edgar is a jumper still available. Every time I look at whoever's in the top right corner on this new tracker background, it looks like Umaro's face has been X'd out. But just that they're never gonna take him.
Hey, he is the best Sasquatch in the game.
I mean, I can't disagree, but that's only for logic reasons. I guess Gogo could be a Yeti in disguise.
Gogo could be anything.
Sure could. Okay, there's our fallen one. Is there a Mega Elixir sitting around, or is Brianna just gonna go for Quick and some Cure 3? Oh, there's the Cure 3.
Cure 3 and Quick, totally fine. 3,000 HP is going to be more than enough to deal with basically anything Kefka is going to dish out in his remaining time on this planet.
Oh, yeah. Quick, Cure 3 is honestly in this game almost overkill. You can get through pretty easily just with Cure 2. So if you have Cure 3, Mega Elixirs are more of a way to heal your magic than heal your HP. And that's a cool 20k. Some more.
I just noticed that with this particular palette, Celis looks a little green.
She's probably got Ultima sickness. Too many Ultimas in one night. She's really gonna feel it tomorrow. More double Ultima action. Oh, that was an Ultima on the party, which they tanked.
Oh.
And then a Havoc Wing, which they tanked. So this is not a good time to be doing more attacks on Kefka. But it also means Kefka's nearly dead.
That was an Ultima counter.
Another Ultima. Kefka making up for all the Ultimas that were getting thrown at him earlier. But he still goes crack boom. And Brianna finishes in fourth with a time of 2:35. 41. Good job, Control V. Good job. So we'll see if we can get Brianna in here for an interview.
Brianna has declined for tonight, so we are going to wrap this up and bring it to bring this stream to a close. So once again, just want to thank the entire Restream team. Except for myself, I was a liability. I was an anchor the entire time.
I was also here.
Also, thank you to all of our runners. Thank you to all of our audience and to all of the gift subs that were given out. Enjoy your spicy chicken emotes. And at this point, I think we are going to bring it to the Game Goyles Marathon. They are playing Superliminal. If you have the spicy chicken emote when we get there, go ahead and spam that in their chat. Give them a little bit of engagement. And I hope to see some of you at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Gamer Goyles Marathon, where I'm going to be playing this this game for that charity marathon.
And everyone should wake up to do that. But yeah, just thanks to everyone on the stream. Go follow our runners. Go follow our restream team. And let's go see what Game Goyles is doing right now. When I can press the button. 5-second song. This is the raid song. We're gonna raid Game Goyles. Raid complete.